Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Congressman Chip Cravaack's live telephone town hall conference call. My name is Mike, and I will be your host for tonight's town hall meeting. Thank you for joining us. We hope you find this call informative and useful. Next, I want to explain the format for tonight's call. If you'd like to ask us a question this evening, just press *3 on your phone, and one of our staff will assist you. Again, that's *3 on your phone to ask a question. In a moment, Rep. Cravaack will join us with some opening remarks. If you're disconnected at any time, please call 877-229-8493 to rejoin the call. The call's PIN number is 17934#. Again, that's 877-229-8493, and the PIN number is 17934#. We'd like to get through as many of your questions as possible tonight. To help us accomplish this goal, we must limit all callers to only one question. When your question is chosen, your name will be called, and you will be asked again to repeat your question for the congressman. And with that, here's Congressman Chip Cravaack.
Hey, thanks, Mike, and good evening, everyone, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all today. I'd like to start off by saying what an honor it is to serve as your representative to Washington. Tonight, I'd like to speak with you about a few issues that I see as top priorities in our district, our state, and our country. We have a lot of people on the line tonight and a lot of questions, so we'll do our best to get to as many of them as possible. If for some reason we don't get to your call, please stay on the line, and at the end you can leave me a message, and I or one of my staff will get back with you as soon as possible. If at any time during the call you'd like to ask me a question, please press *3. First, I'd like to talk to you about an issue that I'm sure is important to just about everyone on this call: jobs. We must do a lot to promote jobs here at home and in the United States, and right here in Minnesota. Our economy is not fully recovered from the recession. However, I believe we can achieve that recovery, and I want to share with you some of the ways that we can protect Minnesota's industries and jobs that families depend on. How can we do it? We must make it easier for small businesses to grow, hire, and expand. The Small Business Administration shows how businesses generate over 60% of new jobs in the country. Right now, red tape and uncertainty from Washington threaten the ability for an individual to take the risk to create a small business or startup company. We are $15.7 trillion in debt as a nation. After a failed trillion-dollar stimulus plan, 4 consecutive $1 trillion budget deficits, and 3 straight years of unemployment at or above 8%, the president is now proposing a tax hike on our nation's job creators known as the Buffett rule. Even the president agrees that the Buffett rule is nothing more than what he calls a gimmick and will do nothing to close the deficit. In fact, if enacted, it would only reduce our annual deficit to $1.2 trillion by less than 0.5%. On the other hand, the House passed a Small Business Tax Cut Act, which will give 22 million small American businesses, including RC Fabricators in Hibbing, Extreme Equipment Repairs in Harris, and London Road Rental Center in Duluth, a much-needed 20% tax break to hire and reinvest. Before we get any further, I'd like to thank all who participated in the April Twin Ports Job Fair. What a better way of getting the ball moving in the 8th District than to bring together those who are looking for work and employers who are in the position to hire. It was a productive day for all. I'd like to remind you, if any time during this call you'd like to ask me a question, please press *3. As you all know, while gas prices soar, Minnesotans are feeling the squeeze. Higher energy prices have real consequences. Everything from the daily commute to the grocery bill is getting more expensive, and Americans are taking notice. The price of gasoline has shot up over 100% since 2009. Unfortunately, this week the president is touting tax hikes that won't help create jobs or lower gas prices. I'll continue to fight for lower gas prices and expansion of our energy resources, but it's an uphill battle. Washington politicians continue to put up artificial obstacles, and they continue to block common sense solutions. The bottom line is that gas prices need to come down now. This punishment at the pump is putting the brakes on small businesses and job growth. That is why we need an all-above energy policy. I believe in the exploration of proven energy reserves to reduce our dependence on foreign and unstable suppliers. I'm proud to have supported the Keystone XL pipeline, which would immediately create thousands of jobs for U.S. workers. It's time to act. It's time to put politics aside, and it's time to commit our proven solutions. We're knocking at a door of a brighter energy future, one that promises abundant, secure, and cheaper American energy. It's time to get the American economy back up to full throttle. Again, if at any time during the call you'd like to ask me a question, please press *3. Now I'd like to touch on a couple things I know many of you are concerned about, and that's Social Security and seniors Medicare. First, we need to recognize the differences that exist between obligations and entitlements. Obligations are owed, entitlements are gifts. Workers and employers have jointly paid into Social Security and Medicare for many decades, making them obligations. I'm committed to fulfilling the obligations and the promises that our country has made to our senior citizens, for those who are retired and to those who are nearing retirement. For decades, the government has thoughtlessly raided Social Security Trust Fund in order to grow an often bloated and duplicative federal government programs. The funds that were collected from employees and employers over the years have been spent. Now, the year of insolvency for Social Security is projected to be 2033. Social Security and Medicare are consuming 1/3 of the current federal budget, and this share is expected to grow exponentially over the next 25 years. The trustees of Medicare Fund reported in May that the rate of the program's growth is such that without immediate reform, Medicare will be insolvent in 2022. Thus, if we continue on this course, Medicare will go bankrupt by 2022 unless we improve its financial health in the next 10 years. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, as well as the Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, CBO, have made that bleak assessment. Medicare's cash crunch is real, and it underscores the need for immediate action. It is important that we ensure the government's obligation to seniors and to those approaching retirement is honored. The House plan saves Medicare. Obligations are owed, and I remain committed to ensuring that seniors and those approaching retirement see no changes in their Medicare, and I will continue advocating for patient-centered solutions that protect seniors' access to quality and affordable health care. My father is 81 years old. No one is going to take his Medicare from him. Again, please press *3 to ask a question. Before we move on, I'd like to let you know about a bill that will benefit Minnesota students in the Boundary Water Canoe area in Wilderness. Since the founding of our state, sections of every township were reserved to raise funds for public education. After the creation of the Boundary Waters, tens of thousands of state-owned school trust lands were left within the Boundary Waters boundaries without the ability to generate monies for funding for Minnesota school kids. To address this, I introduced H.R. 5544, the Minnesota Investment Employment Act. Under this legislation, all 86,329 state-owned school trust lands trapped within the BWCA will be exchanged for federal land outside the BWCA. This will allow the state to generate education funding through mining and timber harvesting on new acquired non-BWCAW land. Additionally, our bill does not decrease the BWCA size and will generate and preserve Minnesota's existing and hunting and fishing rights in the BWCA. Importantly, this bill will federally execute the bipartisan plan approved by the Republican state legislator and Governor Mark Dayton. This bill is a common-sense solution to a problem that will ensure preservation of Minnesota's natural beauty while allowing school trust lands to fulfill their intended purpose, funding Minnesota schools. Again, at any time during this call, please press *3 to ask a question. And with that, I look forward to speaking with you this evening. So, Mike, let's get to our first call.